All right, what's up, everybody, and welcome on back to our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everybody can hear me loud and clear. Make sure we're good to go here. We have class coming up shortly at 3:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Great to see everybody live inside our trading room. Greg, Chuck, Kathleen, Cliff, Jose, unanimous, all loud and clear. I love to see that. And of course, streaming across social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, guys. Great to see you guys back here. So, without further ado, let's begin here. So, the Dow ended up making a nice pop shortly after the open. I guess we'll call it a bit of a recovery from yesterday's drop-off. Really, I will go back to yesterday quickly while I can with class on the horizon. We'll do kind of like a quick meeting here. But, yesterday we were kind of looking at the S&P ETF, the SPY, and we were seeing it was kind of just moving sideways a bit. It was kind of holding strong, but we ended up seeing shortly after the meeting finished a big drop off. So you can see the Dow ended up making a very similar move from 3 o'clock yesterday. So we ended up seeing a short recovery after the open this morning, but otherwise been pretty flat. GNPX, Fausto just called out here to begin right before this meeting started. Fausto just typed that here in the chat board. So this is one that we're very familiar with. Just very quickly, guys, this was actually, I believe this is the first Corona stock of the bunch that ended up moving back. This was January 21st. Yep, January 21st, the infamous day where we ended up seeing the first of many of these pharmaceutical/healthcare companies, come out with any sort of speculatory news on coronavirus vaccine or testing or you name it. Well, GNPX, I believe this was the very first one that popped shortly after we had like the INOs, the CODXs, the APTs, AHPIs, I mean, you name them. So, this is just one of many, but going into the close, I like where it is, holding strong right near the highs. So, yeah, definitely a great call from FP, and we're going to keep this on our list going into the afternoon. So, yeah, for right now, guys, what we'll do is go right from top to bottom, see what else we can get. Really, like I'd said, most of us inside our trading room here, we're going to be inside class. So, hopefully for those of you trading going into the close, we'll have a good list for you guys. So, MXC to begin, we'll quickly, I guess, go through this. Ended up making a really low float pop going into the after hours. I guess this was halted off of news, reopened up, took off like a missile, opened up higher in pre-market. And with that, once the market opened up, it ended up bursting up right out of the gate, something we normally don't see. And then shortly after, we ended up seeing the dump right back down. But obviously, this ended up making a second run up, though. So strong enough to see this hold support roughly off the lows around 9. Ended up running up very nicely towards the high of the day, 1450-ish. 1463, the high of the day ultimately. But yeah, for right now, this stock not doing it. Wouldn't be surprised if it ends up closing lower than it had even opened up. And if it doesn't do that today, it wouldn't surprise me if it does that perhaps tomorrow. All right. So, yeah, for right now, this MXC trade, definitely we're going to stay away from this for the afternoon. Things got like a wacky spread, very light orders, thin orders, and spread out on the bid and the ask. We just covered that inside the phase 1 stock course just this morning. Phase 1, lesson 3, we are talking about level 2, the market depth. We'll be following up with that this afternoon. Like I'd said, we'll be talking specifically about level 3. Here on the right-hand side, the trade station matrix. All right, KGJI, interesting. Anyway, just seemingly looks like a pump and dump. Wasn't there to trade it. SNDE, this thing was like our pre-market winner. This was one of the better trades that we had across the whole day, and it was really from the pre-market where it took off. So at the time, I mean, I'd called this out pretty much shortly after 8:30. It was like our 8:30 move, pretty much. You always hear Fausto talk about the 8:30 move. Wait for the 8:30 move in the pre-market. Pre-market mostly opens for us here at 8 o'clock. Obviously, some a little bit earlier, but with that, you happen to see a lot more volume and activity shortly after 8:30. This ended up making a very nice run up early in the pre-market for us. Dumped off after the open, expectedly so, but ended up breaking out. The volume died off in this trade. You can see here pretty quickly. So this run ended up stopping pretty shortly as well with that. So, dumped back down. Very similar, though, to kind of what I had said before, that MXC trade. Look at this right now. This is, much lower compared to where it had even opened up, this SNDE at least. So, I mean, hey, if you're able to short it, it would be a great opportunity perhaps to see this, close even lower. But yeah, for right now, we're not going to. OBLG, same thing. Geez, a lot of these. I mean, all of them are pump and dumps across the whole day. Some ended up making their moves much earlier on than others. Some ended up dumping off a little bit later on than others. So here, this one's at the lows as well. We're going to pass on this too. We're not going to totally write these stocks off, guys, for the rest of the whole week, the next week as well. It wouldn't surprise me if some of these trades, SNDE, OBLG, I mean, you name them here. Perhaps in the next few days, maybe they'll make a second wind, a third wind. but we're not going to hold on to these trades throughout the day only to see them drop off much lower before that pop eventually comes, right? TAT, another one, cheapy, popped early on, looks like from 60 cents. Looks like it could have been a really good breakout trade, but again, pennant built, volume died off, so did the stock. All right, home, wanted to get to this trade, HOME. Already writing this on our list. So I want to get the news on this trade if there's any. Looking at my earnings calendar here, I didn't write it on my earnings calendar for the week. Looking on Benzinga Pro, and I don't know if they're slacking or what, but I haven't had a headline on them or a couple of these lately. Yeah, nothing really. At Home Group rose 13% in pre-market trading, or in the midday. That's it. So obviously squeezed up much more after that report came out. But yeah, for right now, Home, we're definitely going to keep this on our list. For right now, if you take a look on the daily chart, big gap to fill. We ended up following this going back into, pretty much a little bit after this point last year. So, you could see big gap down. It was shortable at the time, I think, if I'm not mistaken. If it wasn't here, then it was later on, certainly, breaking all-time lows. This and a couple of others that we were following were breaking all-time lows here at the time. And I'll get to the other one actually in just a moment. But yeah, for right now, Home, for as much as this dropped, squeezed back up and still holding strong near the highs for the day today. All right, skip over GMPX, MARA, M-A-R-A. We'll kind of categorize this as like a blockchain stock. I don't know exactly what MARA does and whatnot, but I remember back in 2017, 2018, there were 3 blockchain technology related stocks at the time that we were trading in coordinates with Bitcoin when it was making that huge run. I don't know much about Bitcoin either, first off, but just in terms of sympathy plays, there were 3 stocks: Riot, RIOT, which maybe we'll get to in a moment, DPW. But lately, we ended up seeing actually a few months back, DPW disassociated themselves with like blockchain technology. Like that was the actual report that came out. And, for that reason, I stopped following them with all these trades. But the other one here is MARA, M-A-R-A. Ended up making a nice pop today. I didn't see Bitcoin run. I checked in on that, but I guess for another reason, MARA ended up pushing up pretty nicely. I checked in on Riot right off the bat, and that didn't move. So I kind of speculated that it wasn't necessarily like a Bitcoin thing. Check in on Riot, I guess, for the meantime. Yeah, I mean, small little move, but obviously MARA is well worth the trade compared to Riot. A little bit cheaper, making a more active move off support right now, seemingly off like 108. Definitely going to put this MARA stock on our list. All right, cool. Let's see what else we got here. We got Jeff saying EQ at 16. Yeah, so I want to check in on this. Holy smokes. Double top at the high of the day, $16 whole number. So we came across this trade really late. I don't know how this flew under our radar for so long. I mean, I guess I do know the reason. So to let you guys know, I mean, this was a very low volume run. To see this stock go from 12 at the time, it was already at 16 and consolidating under the level when we had called it out and scanned for it. At the time that it made that entire run, it was trading less than 1 million shares total across the day. I mean, this was an extremely low volume run from 12 to 16. And then you could see after it bounced off that level, a lot more volume got traded after that point. Even as the volume dropped off this peak, the volume traded afterwards here greatly exceeds the volume, the very low volume that it took to get this to run up at first. So this flew way under our radar, a low volume pump up. With that, my fear was a potential dump back down, but I wanted to get back to this during this meeting. And obviously now at this point, yeah, we're going to put this back on our list, this EQ trade. I say back because we ended up trading this stock a few weeks ago. Just goes to show, a lot of these stocks you don't want to completely throw away in the garbage just yet. This EQ trade we traded last week or the week before ended up dumping back down next day. And then the day after that ended up making a new little move back up. And obviously now today. So, all right, cool. Good call, Jeff, and good timing there with the gainers list. All right, I'll tell you guys what. I just installed a new air conditioner in my home office. I turned it off for this meeting because I didn't want there to be any noise. It's getting hot in here. Let's try and run through the rest of this list rather quick. Oh my goodness. AUPH here, up 14.5% right now. It's holding strong near the highs. We are familiar with this stock. We as a man, perhaps a lot of us that have been with us for quite some time. AUPH, look at this gap on the daily chart back pretty much nearing the end of 2019. at the time, it was actually shortable. So, for a stock that's up 50, 100+% at the time, for this to be shortable and not hard to borrow, oh my goodness, this was an incredible trade that we ended up catching. I don't know what happened here. Did I go back too much? Yeah, went back too much there. You know what? I'll just do this. I think that's a lot easier. There we go. Wanted to show this right here. So huge gap up back December of 2019. It opened up at 1670, moved up a little bit, less than $1 move up. And for as much as it moved up, or as little, it dumped back down an extra 3 points. So, for all these stocks that make these big 100% plus moves in pre-market, that's why you always hear me say that. And it's not to say we look for the short, but we look to get out of those trades come the time the market opens up. But yeah, otherwise for right now, getting back to this here, AUPH holding strong near the highs. So for that reason alone, I'll put this on our list. Liquid order book, tight spread, those reasons as well. All right, let's see what else we have here. It's like a sauna here. JMIA, this was doing really good for us earlier today. Obviously, you can see a big breakout shortly after it moved up over the first peak off of like 930, 940-ish. Ended up making a sharp move up close to 10, and then a second run up higher high, another higher high here. But at this point right now, it seems like really flat. Not as close to the highs. This stock we are very familiar with as well, and at least for us here in the afternoon meeting, we've went over this trade very recently. So, new IPO or back from 2009 IPO, dumped off from like $45. So no surprise to see this make another squeeze early in the morning. This is like a good side list stock to keep in mind. It seemed like it didn't really have a whole lot of activity in pre-market this morning. A tiny bit, but not really a whole lot to write home about. But hey, if you had it on your radar, scanner pops up, I would look to jump on it right away. Obviously, it's easy for me to say that at this point, but it's again for me to say that we've traded the stock recently. The stock has made some pretty nice runs over the last week and a half, 2-3 weeks even. All right, let's keep it pushing. WTRH, maybe like a setup potentially around 5. All right, we'll get to BE though. BE is another stock much like that home trade. Remember I said on home, it was like back at the end of last year, we were trading this stock or following it, and it was breaking all-time lows. So going back to 2019, it was a little bit before that home stock broke its all-time low, but you guys could see here, it was a big gap down actually during the late summer, but then broke all-time lows just as it kept pushing. It was shortable at the time, so it continued to drop off, but obviously for as much as this dropped, squeezed back up. I don't know the news on this one in particular. I'll take a quick look while I can, but obviously that was just months ago, 4, 5, 6 months ago. Not 4. It's like 6, 7 months ago, rather. Sorry. But this thing's pushing up beautifully going into the afternoon. For right now, I'll take a quick look on Benzinga Pro. We'll take a look to see what the news is. And, of course, Benzinga, at least at this point, they're going to admit it. Bloom Energy shares are trading higher, not currently seeing company-specific news. So I guess they're at least admitting that. But, man, my Benzinga has kind of been slacking on me here. All right, well, either way, for as much as this ran up today and even the last few days over the last week or so, it's had its shakes on the way back down, a couple of red days over the last week. So, with this near the highs, certainly I'll put this on our list. But at the same time, it's kind of like building a bit of a pennant. The volume's been kind of declining over the last 10, 15, 20 minutes. So with that, it's actually shortable. If it ends up crapping out the other way, as I always say, this could be a decent short opportunity. All right, Bonnie says earnings on the 28th. Oh, yeah? All right, cool. The earnings for next week, I don't do until Sunday. So I always just do that because I've wasted my time in the past. Not to say that they're going to change it, but I'll be on the lookout Sunday night, Bonnie. I'll go through my earnings calendar on the 28th. I'm sure I'll see BE there. I'll write it down right away. But yeah, otherwise, this stock's been on a huge tear of late. We'll have to continue to follow this, at least for right now. All right, current time 2:44, guys. Every time I say it's like a lightning round edition, it really isn't. I usually still take my sweet time. So for right now, we'll just zip through a couple more, but otherwise we'll hop over to a losers list, run a quick scan, we'll finish it up. I see a call out from Chuck, APT. So let me just go through the losers list first, Chuck, then I'll jump to APT. Oh yeah, and as far as earnings, I'll let you guys know what I have on my calendar for the end of the day today, at least, because otherwise we're not going to be doing like a post-market update inside our trading room, just because most of us will be inside the class. Ooh, this DOYU trade looks interesting. Down 10+%, obviously at the lows right now. Sitting 20+ thousand share order. I saw a flash in. Yep, 27,000 shares. He's popping in and out at $12 on the bid. All right, cool. Good enough for me. This one, I don't know if we checked in on this one yet, but ooh, we got a couple of familiar names otherwise here. OPK, Opco Health, for as much as this ran up yesterday, dumped off, gapped down a little bit in pre-market, dumped off after the open. It was a decent short early, but right now a little slow. QD, another one we're kind of familiar with. I'm going to pass on that too. OMI, for as much as this moved up, I forgot about this trade. OMI was a big winner from yesterday. I completely forgot about this stock. Wow. Ended up dropping off early after the market opened, expectedly so for such a big move yesterday. But you know what? I don't mind adding this to our list. It's shortable. It's in a tighter range, obviously. It doesn't seem like it's going much of anywhere right now, but maybe wait till the final 30 minutes on this trade. We'll get direction going into the final 30 minutes, perhaps. I don't know. But for right now, just it's tradable. Trading still about 70,000 shares per minute. Tight spread, liquid order book. All right, we'll check in on Chuck's APT, though, because there's really not much else I see otherwise. Yeah, obviously, this thing is going to make our list. Great call. Breaking over, what's even today? Wednesday, breaking over Monday's high. You can see on the daily chart here. 2287. Blasted right through it. Looks like it held it as support. Oh my goodness, perfect support off of Monday's high. Look at that. Broke through the high, and then from there 23. Pulled back, held that high, 2287. Moved right back up. Pretty interesting. All right. So great call, Chuck. Definitely that'll make our list. Let me take a quick look on my Benzinga signals here. Otherwise, it's been slacking today. I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on. I'm going to try and run it from Opera instead of Chrome. I feel like that requires less resource. I think that might be it. Let me just get a quick look on this BLIN. Oh, yeah. Look at this thing go. There we go. So at least Benzinga Pro coming in the clutch there. BLIN, obviously now making a nice pop. I don't know if there's any news to this. I'll take a quick look. Ooh, they got it this time. All right, cool. BLIN, multiple deals with National Professional Association of Healthcare Professionals for continuing education certifications to handle virtual events as a result of coronavirus pandemic. I will copy and paste that. From Peter on YouTube. Yeah, we went over home already. I'll check back in on that trade at least. Home definitely on our list. It's in a tight range for right now, but shortable. Holding resistance off of 9. Seems like a really good setup there as far as resistance. All right, I think that just about does it, guys. Maybe we'll check in on, what was it? Oh, the EQ's already on our list. I don't know if I got a new signal from Benzinga on that, but looks like, yeah, since we last spoke about it, it's pulled back a little bit and trying to get back over 16 as we speak. Check out Pfizer, got a comment. Oh, yeah, you know what? I want to check out one or two more. I'm sorry. That's it before we finish. So Pfizer, obviously, news came out, pre-market this morning. I think that they're ordering, what was it, like 100 million initial on their contract with the U.S. government. And I think up to like about 500 million, if I'm not mistaken, or 600, I don't know. Ended up dumping off after the open, squeezing back up right now. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not put this stock on our list, not just because of the news. The news, honestly, I mean, obviously it could pump the stock up further, but I'm not as like jumpy to the stock for the news. It's just a really nice trend, liquid order book. It's a name brand stock, so keep that in mind. So, more tricky stock perhaps to follow in that sense. But, as far as resistance, you happen to see about 87,000 shares on the ask, 38.50. You see that on the matrix. Level 2, you also see that there as well. 104 orders being routed through the NASDAQ, actually, right at that price. All right, so yeah, Pfizer we'll put on our list, PFE. It's actually, I think that's like the first time I've ever put Pfizer on our list, myself at least. Yeah, and then from Jose, I wanted to get to AMD. That was the one I wanted to jump to, and then I guess we'll go to BNTX also. But yeah, AMD breaking all-time highs today. Fausto called this one out really, I mean, right after the market opened. This was one that didn't make the CTU main list. I mean, not much going on in pre-market here, right? A lot of volume being traded, but very flat. Took off shortly after the open, breaking a new all-time high. I think the all-time high was like 59.70-ish, I want to say. 59.27, my dyslexia getting in there. So yeah, obviously blasted right through that. Held pretty much right over 59.50, squeezed up higher. For what it's worth, it's near the highs in relation to the run, Jose. It's in a very tight range right now, and given the total amount of volume it's traded today, it's a lot compared to how much it normally trades, and it normally trades a crap ton of volume. You know what? How about this? I'm going to say something that I always say to you guys and mostly to my students here in coaching. If you're unsure about yes or no on something, whether, hey, should I get in this trade or not? Hey, should I put this on our watch list or not? If you're unsure, you know the answer. So for right now, I'm actually going to keep AMD off our list. If it ends up breaking a higher high, Jose, and for a couple of us, I'm sure we'll be watching it, at that point, make the call, because I would love to, refocus on the trade, the trade at that point then. All right. And then lastly, before we finish up, got class coming up. I can't get off the mic. All right, we got some earnings after the bell though. Like I'd said, Snapchat we did really well on this morning. That was my best trade. I gave a lot of profit back on that trade, so really that kind of saved me. That Snapchat trade, posting bad earnings or off their bad, move from yesterday afternoon. So going into this afternoon, guys, I want you guys to watch the following stocks. A lot of these are pricier, pretty expensive. So I'm not going to be trading these myself as much. You have the name brand ones, though. You have Microsoft, you have Tesla, you have Chipotle. And then aside from those, a couple that I will likely touch base with and potentially trade. Las Vegas Sands Casino, LVS, and then Save, Spirit Airlines. All right. Those are all reporting after the bell today. All right, guys. Aside from that, for all of us here in the trading room, I'll look to post the tweets post and tweet the picks, and then from that point, post the link coming up shortly for class. For all of us streaming across social media, you guys know the deal at this point. Make sure that you guys click the subscribe button on YouTube. Make sure that you guys hit the notification bell as well, just so you guys know when we're hopping on live, when we're not. And aside from that, if you guys have more information or would like to know more information regarding Cyber Trading University, I'm going to post the phone number right here in the chat board. That's going to be 516-280-5350. Repeat that one more time. 516-280-5350. I just posted right there for you guys. All right, guys. I'll talk to you guys coming up here in the trading room. Take care.